have the opportunity to discuss this, we want to make the right decision. This is important for the township. There are a lot of individuals here that have spent a lot of time and effort in meeting and discussing this issue. Certainly appreciate all of their effort. We obviously want to do what is right and try and curb the speeding that's happening in our development. With that being said, I will move with the installation of the 2 speed humps.
Petey, got a meeting going on here.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions?
All those in favor say aye.
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 And that was both of them, right, Chuck?
Correct.
Okay.
If it suits the board, I'll work together with the roadmaster and the contractor that you currently have in place to do hourly work. I'll work with both of them to help implement this in accordance with the guidelines of the traffic calming.
Thank you.
All right. Next order of business is the municipal building use policy. You have a copy in your packet and also a copy of the application for your review.
I have a question for Tom. This is kind of a new thing for us, so if it happens that it just doesn't work out, we can always change it, remove it, modify it.
Yes.
This is a brand new thing.
That's why I said it.
It's just a policy.
Okay.
Okay.
Tom, question for you in terms of the application itself. Is this something that's comparable to some other municipalities?
Yes.
Do we want our kitchen to be used? So it can be used to serve food, but not to,
Prepare food.
that's what I would say. I wish we had any.
I'd like the opportunity to look at some of the other applications as well, if that's okay with the rest of the board, and then make a decision at the work session, make that final decision at the work session at the end of this month. Is that okay?
And the other thing I want to be sure is really clear in the application is that there has to be at least the representative that fills out this application must be a resident of Lower Frederick.
Okay. So you want to work on this at the workshop, you said, Chuck?
Please, thank you.
All right.
The work session.
Okay. Any other old business?
I have 2 other matters of old business. Apologies for it just occurring to me after this was done. One of them is we approved to move ahead with a comprehensive plan in 2019. So I'd like to have a discussion about what are our next steps. How do we move forward from here?
I went to that meeting, and I know there's some individuals from the Planning Commission that were at that meeting as well. I had specifically asked how to make up a comprehensive planning committee. I think it's important that it's all-encompassing, that it includes some members of the Planning Commission, that it includes some members of the general public, that it includes some members of the business community, that it includes some members perhaps from the Board of Supervisors, but that it's all-encompassing and has as much input as possible. If it's restricted to one committee or one group of individuals, we might have some further discussion that could delay the moving forward of a comprehensive plan. That's why I think it would be important that we start requesting from the township residents and the township business community to start extending letters of intent, perhaps a resume if you think it's pertinent, and then submit that to the township manager, and then we can start discussing who would be sitting on that respective committee.
I'd like to make a proposed modification to that. I think we actually need two different kinds of committees. One of them is the kind that Chuck has described, so you may have people who want to sit on a road network committee, and other people may want to sit on a stormwater management committee, and other people may want to sit on a commercial development committee. But I think in addition to that, we need, in my opinion, a very small steering committee that will have more of a managerial administrative role in moving the process forward. Things like setting up the meetings, being liaison with the planning commission, and I think that should be a relatively small committee, and that should be more internal. So that's my proposal. I think we need both.
And I think we'll start with that at our next meeting, the planning commission.
To talk about that.
Yeah,
That'd be
we have
great.
formulated some ideas, and I think we're going to pull that together.
That's great.
And
Thank
break
you.
it down.
Super. So can we pass the action to planning commission to make the first steps?
Yes, we are.
Great, thank you. Super. Oh, and the other item I had of old business is, in the last meeting, we voted to appoint a new solicitor. Has that solicitor been notified?
Not at present, not yet, no.
Is there a reason why they have not been notified?
I was told to hold off on that
By whom?
by two members of the Board of Supervisors,
Separately or together?
separately.
And for what reason?
They did not give me a reason.
Okay, we had a resolution and we voted. What's the reason for the delay?
I'm going to put a motion on the floor to rescind the vote for the solicitor that was voted for.
Second.
Can I ask what the reason is?
It was not the one we had discussed in the beginning. The firm is not the firm. Chris Garber is not in that firm.
Chris Gerber. Do you have an objection to the firm?
I do. They do not do police law.
Actually, that's not true. They've been involved in work with the Pennsburg Regional Police and also in contracts.
Could I just ask a question just to get a little more precise? Chairman Sachs, is it your thought that when you voted, you thought you were voting for another firm and not the firm that you voted?
That is correct.
So that you felt that you made an honest mistake as to
That's
your vote?
correct.
I'm also going to make some notes just to answer Marla's earlier question. At the evening, and I came in and sat down with Kevin the next day, and I listened to the tape, and there were some comments made initially. I made some of the last comments, but in the comments I addressed to Tom, I thanked him for his service, and then I went on to say that moving forward I'm going to be supporting Chris Gerber, and I mistakenly named the wrong law firm. Chris Gerber was with Siani Belwar, and I accidentally mentioned Wolf Baldwin.
Because they sound so much alike.
No, actually, if you want the truth, this is what happened. At that meeting, you made some comments, and then it was followed up by Terry Sachs, and Terry had mentioned that he was supportive of Chris Gerber. I had then asked, what is the name of Chris Gerber's law firm? And that is when you had mentioned that it was Wolf Baldwin.
No, I didn't mention it, Terry did.
No, the videotape that we have, the tape that we listened to indicated that. And
That's incorrect.
That is not
Terry
incorrect.
Terry mentioned Wolf Baldwin. I did not.
That is not incorrect. I listened to it several times in Kevin's office, and I can admit when I make a mistake, and I'm hoping that my colleagues can do that as well, and we can make the correct decision moving forward.
I would like to state for the record that Wolf Baldwin was not my first choice, it was my second choice, and when my colleagues
That is
mentioned
correct.
Wolf Baldwin, I was happy to jump on board. They are an extremely accomplished and experienced law firm. Their rates are lower than the other firm in many respects, and they serve many like townships. Again, it was not my first choice, but when I heard them mention Wolf Baldwin, I was happy to jump on board, and I think they'll be a great firm. And I spoke to 10 references for this firm, and every one of them gave them stellar stellar reports, and I'd be happy to read those. Another concern I have about the other firm mentioned is, this is the firm we had as a labor lawyer. They charge us $225 an hour. They're now saying they'll lower their rates to $180. They are a large law firm that serves larger townships than ours. They're out of Chester County. They charge us for transportation. It's a longer way for them to drive. I have no confidence that they will continue to raise their rates, and this will be a very expensive firm for us. I don't think we need a big fancy law firm. I think a local firm like Wolf Baldwin will more than suit us. The two lawyers there, as I said, I'd be happy to. In fact, I may read the references. I spoke to 10 people who gave them references, and they cover every single area of law. They have been successful in all their litigation. They've saved their townships money, and they are serving townships which have very large developments going on. I'd also like to mention for the record that Siana Belwar does a lot of work for land development. In my opinion, we should not be working with a law firm that also is involved with land developers. Wolf Baldwin does not work with land developers. They do real estate law, which is completely different. And lastly, I cannot mention the details, but I have a concern about an issue that Chris Gerber was working on, in which he failed to remember something, which he should have remembered, and that led me to lose confidence in him.
Well, there was a motion on the floor, it was seconded, and I feel as if it's for a vote.
Other questions?
Larry Cohen, Mine Hill Road. How is it, forgive me, but how is it that two supervisors separately came to a realization that they misspoke and relayed that to the township manager at almost the same time? Doesn't that suggest that perhaps there was some discussion prior to referring this to the township manager?
There is no discussion between
Not
us.
with me, that, not until they
I
came.
went into the office the day after, and this can be corroborated by anybody that was in this building, and I talked to Kevin. I sat down in Kevin's office and I listened to the tape to make sure what I said is what I said. What I said here tonight is what I said on that tape.
Well, I listened to the tape, and when I saw the tape, I did not mention Wolf Baldwin. Mr. Sachs did, so I saw something completely different.
You mentioned Wolf Baldwin when?
I had asked, I'm going to make it very clear what happened at this meeting last week, and the audio tape that Kevin has can show that this is the truth. I had indicated, when Terry Sachs had indicated his support for Chris Gerber, I then said, for the benefit of everybody in attendance, what is the name of that law firm? And that is when Vice Chairperson Hexter indicated Wolf Baldwin. And I took that for the truth.
So did I.
I would recommend that we table this until we can all view the videotape, which makes it very clear. We had someone from the audience ask a question, and the question was, which firm is it? And Mr. Sachs said Wolf Baldwin. It was not me.
No,
I did not mention Wolf Baldwin.
I'm not going to table it.
Well,
And who was your attorney when you were running for?
I didn't have an attorney.
I understand it was Chuck Garner, which is in that firm.
I did not have an attorney.
I think it's a
You should-
conflict
you
of
should-
interest. You know Chuck Garner very
And
well.
you know Chuck Garner as well?
I do, but I did not vote for him. I did not mention his name.
I beg your pardon?
I did not mention his name in the beginning.
I would suggest that we move on to a vote.
I agree.
I just want to again state for the record, this law firm is going to cost us a lot more money. It would not be in my fiduciary responsibility to agree to vote for this firm, so I'd like all of you to take a good look at our bills as we move forward and see what they look like as we move forward with this law firm.
And so is a five-man board going to cost us more money?
Well, the lawyer charges $180 an hour plus transportation from Chester County. We don't charge that. We're a lot cheaper than the lawyers.
I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna vote.
Any more questions?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay, and I'd like to register a protest for the record. This was not represented as accurately as my two colleagues provided. They knew what they were doing. We had a 15-minute discussion, which is represented in the tape and in the video, and the name Wolf Baldwin was mentioned at least 6 times in that tape. The solicitor, Chuck Garner, was mentioned multiple times in that tape, and neither of my colleagues said anything during all that time. So I'm sorry they weren't prepared for the meeting, or they may have had another personal reason for objecting.
We were prepared, and the name Chris Gerber was said. I would encourage anybody that has the time, that wants the truth, to listen to the audio tape. They can visit the Township building during office hours and to listen to the Township tape.
Wouldn't that tape be available on YouTube through Larry?
Not the tape.
The audio,
The
video,
audio
You can
tape.
hear.
video is
The
there.
video is available, and it is exactly the same.
The video it is
Available
available.
on YouTube,
It is available.
and it's already up? Thank you.
It was up 12 hours after the meeting ended.
I want a motion to appoint Sagana and Belmar,
Second.
Effective?
effective first of the year.
And you have to mention the terms?
Pardon?
The terms? The terms.
I don't
The
think
terms
so.
of the appointment?
No.
No?
No, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by terms, but the,
What we're paying them. If we're
no, I
hiring
don't
someone,
think
we have to
that
make
means,
sure we're paying them.
that has never been brought up. I will say, as to the terms for a township solicitor for the term, the second-class township code has a short sentence, which I'm very familiar with. It says, "The township solicitor serves at the pleasure of the Board of Supervisors." You can change it every month. So, the motion is to appoint Sienna Bell.
That's correct.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Another thing in old business, I'd like to correct a problem that was happening yesterday out in front of the polls. People were being told that when we hit 5,000 residents, that we have to go to a 5-person board. That is not true. I want you all to know that. That's not true.
I heard the same thing yesterday from certain people, and that is not true.
And there's a lot of witnesses that can back that up. Yes, Mark.
Peter, is that true or is it not true?
I don't know. I haven't looked it up, I'm sorry.
I can tell you that I did look it up, and PSATs, our favorite PSATs, has indicated that that is not true. There was a law passed in 1899 in Pennsylvania that at one point made it true, and then it was later amended to reflect that it would have to go to a referendum if you wanted it to be that way.
Yes.
David Lundy, 251 Ocean Road. I just wanted to comment, just in discussion with a lot of people in the townhouse, the neighborhood, and others, that there was very little information provided about what the motivation was behind that referendum vote, and I just feel that as a voter, I felt very uninformed as far as what the pros and cons were for that information. So it's just a lot of people that are talking, we could just try to think of what the different motivations could potentially be, but I just felt like, as a voter, I didn't have enough information to make a very informed decision, either way.
Thank you.
Well, since the referendum didn't come from any of us, we can't really speak to that, but do we have an obligation to provide information on referendums, Tom?
No.
Where's the obligation come from?
The only obligation obligation rests with the electoral board to announce it, but it was properly on the ballot because of a petition which was circulated and it received the appropriate number of signatures, and that was submitted to the Board of Election, who approved it to be on the ballot. So that's no real good answer to your question, but that's the answer.
Doris
Yes.
works in South Station Road. Who submitted that? And why was it not circulated amongst more people? I didn't see anything.
We can't answer that. We don't know.
You can't answer that?
We didn't do it.
There's been quite a few things up there tonight that can't be answered.
Yes, Bob?
Yes, I'm the one that started the petition last year, and I went door to door. I was also out here on election day last year. My brother was out here. I did not have anybody down at the townhouses. That's why we went door to door to get some of the signatures. As the county voting office stated, we had to have 5% of the voters, which would be about 170 voters. They explained that we should get over that amount because as the lawyer for the county, they go through and verify all the signatures so that in case there was any signatures, I believe the total signatures that we handed in was 254. It took several, maybe 6 months at least from the time I handed it in until the county approved it. And then they asked for the wording, which said, do you want to increase from 3 to 5, which was put on the ballot. For the last 3 months plus, I've been handing out at the meetings information on how the ballot question would be. I've been putting them on the 2 bulletin boards out here. Sometimes I was in here 3 times a week putting them on because they kept taking them down. And that's all I can answer as far as...
So you're saying you did it?
I'm the one that did the petition.
You started it?
I started the petition.
All on your own?
Yes, I did.
But this wasn't passed around at the meetings. It might have been out there, but it wasn't passed around for everyone to see. And that is not acceptable. I'm sorry. And that's the first time I've ever said that at a township meeting. But that is not acceptable. When you come to meetings, you should be informed. You're not supposed to leave here not knowing what's going on.
The board was not informed. We couldn't tell you because we didn't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Everybody should be informed. We should know what's going on. When you come to a meeting, you don't want to leave here not knowing what was going on. We don't come here and stay here for that purpose, to give up our time when we're residents of the township.
I follow you 100%.
And I don't think that's fair to, talking about being fair to different people, that certainly is not fair. And it's not appropriate to do that to residents of this township. I'm sorry.
Pam?
And I'm not blaming the supervisors, but someone is not telling the truth. Like you had said the other week, stop spreading rumors. That's exactly what should be happening. Everything should be